Welcome home. We are WNST, Taos, Baltimore Positive. This is going to be a fun one. We are here at Costas Inn in my homeland of Dundalk. It's kind of rainy and gloomy today, but the sun will be out next week, and the Ravens will still be alive, and the Orioles will be playing, hopefully, a lot of playoff baseball. We're down here on behalf of our friends at the Maryland Lottery. I have the Ravens scratch-offs. We've already had somebody yelled. I said, "Did you win?" They're like, "Yeah." I said, "How much?" $7. I'm like, $7. I would have bought a pretty good concert ticket at the Capitol Center back in the day. Our friends at Jiffy Lube Multi-Care for putting us out on the road. Luke is going to be covering the games next week. I don't know that we're going to have any Ravens coverage next week from out there, but we'll make it work. And if there's any breaking news, you always get that first on the WNST Tech Service, brought to you by friends at Cole Roofing. The new service is there. Is it working, Leonard? It's working. Everybody's getting it. 410-821-9678. You text JOIN, and you get that. Also, our friends at Curio Wellness and Liberty Pure Solutions bringing me out here today. Today's a really special day for a lot of reasons. We got baseball, playoffs. Leonard's here. I'm going to hear from one of my childhood friends, Teresa, coming and talking about health insurance, very important thing. But I've been for like about a year and a half hearing about this amazing Capitol Center retrospective book. And anybody who knows anything about me knows that I spend a lot of time at the Capitol Center, a lot of special people in my life, including Phil Jackman, who I'll start to tear up if I talk too much. But the Oyster Tour and the Crab Cake Tour coming together. I'm on day 22. I'm going to get the Oysters Rockefeller today. And Curio put me out on this and Liberty Pure Solutions as well. And today I reached to Kevin Leonard, and I've been back and forth a little bit. And I'm always trying to find the right spot to bring a guest in, the right location, right side of town. But when you don't live in Baltimore, I don't do Crab Cake Tours in Silver Spring. But I have been to Prince George's County. If I call it PG, they get all up in arms. Angela Alsobrooks was supposed to be my guest this week on Tuesday. I'm waiting. Same thing with Larry Hogan. I'm waiting. But nonetheless, I'd like to talk to them. But Kevin's come up from somewhere in Commandersville, Jadenville, as we are at this point. No?
Columbia.
All right, so you're really middle turf.
Yes, absolutely.
Were you a Post reader or a Sun reader? I need to know that as a former Sun person.
Actually, both.
That's why he's so well educated. That's why he's making books as well as reading them. Well, tell me about you and this, because I'm familiar with Jeff Krulick's name because I threw a note about a year and a half ago. I'm familiar with your name. It's more of a common name than a name like Krulick. And I saw that this thing was coming, and people had made me aware of it. And I said, one day soon, I'm going to get those cats up here, have a crab cake, and maybe an oyster too, and just sit here and talk about it. And then you agreed to come, and in the middle of a busy week, I'm going through boxes of stuff to try to come up with my memories because, like, it's seeing it and touching it. It's everything, you know what I mean? Like, to me, and just seeing the red, white, and blue and the logo, and it was always so special for a poor kid from Dundalk to be in that building with whoever was in that building. And this is before I was a media member. This is whether it was Hulk Hogan and Bob Backlund, whether it was Billy Smith and Dennis Marook and Dennis, well, not Potvin, screw him, Trottier and you know, greatness, Bossy. And then, I saw Bird, I saw Magic, Kareem, like down the list, Larry Bird, and then the concerts. I mean, Mick, Van Halen, just down I told my wife about this George Michael show I saw there. I got to find that ticket stub. Is that G or M or W? What do you think? George Michael, Wham? I'll find the ticket stub. And it's probably not the red, white, and because they had gone to the goofy blue. But, like, I think about the nights in that arena, and, like, if I'm starting to think about, like, nights, the LaFontaine night, crazy. Those are just the nights I was there. I didn't get to see Eagles in 76. I've seen the videos of it at Hotel California. But, man, you've managed to, like, try to put this thing together. And, like, I don't know where you came from, but I'm glad you came by. Thank you for being here and making it all the way up from Columbia. But everything says Laurel. What's your deal, dude?
Well, I grew up in Laurel, and we are the Laurel History Boys. That's our we're a nonprofit, and we do all kinds of stuff about local history. Everything we've done prior to this book had something to do with the greater Laurel area. But this was presented to us. Jeff Krulick is the one who brought this to us. He's friends with Jerry Sachs, who used to be the president of the Capitol Center.
Okay, I know that name.
And Jerry was very insistent. He wanted some sort of a memorial book for the Capitol Center. And so that got the ball rolling, and we started talking. And we said,
I can't wait to open it. Like, I'm touching it, you know? Like,
yeah. Well, in the back.
He was coming up during the break, like kicking my cables over and doing all the stuff that drives me crazy with water and beer. And I'm like, no. And then he's trying to talk to me. I'm like, no, I want to do. I've already done like 40 minutes. These people are bored. They were on their second dozen of crabs over here. Now I'm gonna have to give more lottery tickets. I haven't even opened the box.
If you look in the back, you don't have to do it now. We have a chronological list of
I got time for that right now.
every event at the Capitol Center.
Is that a bibliography? My 8th grade English teacher, Jan Miles, I know she's watching. If there's a bibliography, I was never good at bibliography.
No, not a bibliography. It's just a list of every event.
Oh, man. First thing I saw, Leonard, Depeche Mode. The minute I opened it, he loves doesn't look like he loves Depeche Mode, but he's a metalhead, this guy over here.
All right.
By the way, he's got a great crab mallet. He gives me this at the crab. This is his. It's got a beer opener, and I had never used it. So I opened my first Natty Bow in the last segment, and then we sat and talked about your book without you realizing it, and then you walked in on it. So this book is available. How do people get it? Give me all of that, and then we're just going to go through, like, so many people on my – I put up a couple of ticket stubs yesterday that I found. I took a picture,
right.
And everybody's like, there's a book, you can get a book. So I'm like, yeah, calm down. That's coming on a show next week. Don't, give it away. And other people are like, there's a book? And I'm like, yeah. And I knew all about this, but I wanted to make a stink about it. So I'm glad that we picked, playoff week in football, because there's nobody out there of my age that didn't have something special happen at the Capitol Center.
Absolutely.
Like literally, whatever it was. Because everything special happened there for a long time.
Yep. You can only get it through our website, laurelhistory.com, and just click on shop.
All right.
And it is simple.
Okay, so let's start with this. My dad hated Abe Poland, so I got to say that because he took the team. I mean, my dad was a Baltimore guy, right? Like, so my dad. I think my dad knew the concept of the Capitol Center was a lovely thing, but my dad used to hang in this bar in Costas. Most of my dad's world was all the bus line, because my dad didn't drive. My dad was born in 1919, and we honor my dad every year with a cup of Super Bowl week because my dad stood in soup lines in 1929, Scranton, Pennsylvania. Didn't have any food. Came down to Essex, got a job at Martin Marietta during the war. So my dad was a simple man, but he loved sports. He loved basketball. He loved baseball, and he loved boxing. He played Little League ball with Pete Gray. He went to Yankee Stadium to see Babe Ruth with his dad. Like all that kind of stuff, right? So that's how I grew up, and I'm an Aparicio, and you can watch the documentary as your neighbor over here from Columbia can check that out to find out the whole Aparicio thing. But in the late 70s, the Bullets had left, right? They'd gone to Capitol Center to this weird place called Largo.
Right.
That, I mean, we didn't have Google then. I had to get like a map and figure out how far is Largo. Nobody in my family drove. I told that story in the last segment about going to that Islanders and the wrestling matches, then the Rush concert, and then I got smart. I got older friends so I could get beer. Right? And I got older friends so I could get rides to see Def Leppard and Judas Priest and AC/DC and whatever, right? So, but my brother was the one that first started taking me to Capitol Center. And I got to be honest with you, man, for a kid from East Baltimore that was bus line to Memorial Stadium, bus line to the Civic Center to see then the Skipjacks or concerts.
Right.
And the Capitol Center stole everything from Baltimore, right? Like once Kiss got big in 77, they were doing 2 nights at the Capitol Center. They didn't know where Baltimore was.
Yeah.
Right? Until the 80s when things sort of fell apart, and then Paul Stanley's having dinner with me, and it was nice. We made nice. My dad always said to me, put some food in your belly. And I said, but Dad, I love Kiss. Kiss is never going to do anything for you. And I'm like, Kiss was really nice to me, way better than the sports guys have been. So, but I love the Capitol Center memories, and it was so far, and it was so exotic. And I remember as a boy, this is serious business, as a kid from Dundalk, right? It was on television on Channel 20 with the Bullets and the Capitals. The Capitals stunk. Nobody, you know what I mean? They stunk, right? But the Bullets were my dad's, like, and then my dad lost the Colts, right? Like, so, my dad had a lot of heartache, honestly. Not just a tough life working down at the Point, but from a sports perspective, my dad loved the World Series of 66, loved the Colts of 58 and 58. So my dad, when the Bullets left, it hurt him. Wes Unseld, seeing Wes Unseld parade around with Capitol Bullets and like all that, my dad didn't. And I love Bobby Dandridge. I love Greavy. I loved all, like they were my team in 1976, 77, 78, even though I had a crush on Rick Barry and I thought those Golden State Warrior uniforms were beautiful. But the games came in on Rabbit Box. It was cloudy. It was whatever. But anytime I saw a picture of the Capitol Center in like a basketball digest with the roof, with the slanted roof, which, let's find a slanted roof for the kids who don't know. There's Abe. Abe was always really nice to me. But this slanted roof, it was so sexy and beautiful. And in the summer of 77 and 78, my family went to Myrtle Beach for vacation with a Prowler green, puke green, baby poop green Prowler, split pea green. And we drove on the 495 across the bridge that way where the casino is now, right? And there was a water tower that looked like our poop plant back in the day. It looked like a, Teresa, you remember the old poop plant? It looked like a tomato can upside down with the maroon and white checkerboard, right? Like a Purina can, right? And you had one of those towers down there in PG County near, I guess, where Andrews Air Force. I don't know anything. I'm a kid in the car in my brother's Malibu in the summer of 77, 78 with a trailer behind us. And we went by exit 15 and 17 for the first time in my life. Probably like on the west side of the Beltway when you see Disney World there and you realize, oh, that's a Mormon temple.
Yeah.
It looks like Disney World, right? Yeah. But the Capitol Center to a 10-year-old kid where Kareem played as a Buck and then as a Laker. I had never been in it. It was a mystical place for me as a kid. So the first time I walk in there, you don't forget it. You don't forget the last time. You don't forget the Who, Van Halen. You don't forget the girls you kissed. You don't forget the Journey concerts. You don't forget seeing John Bon Jovi underneath the Capitol Center. Teresa, did you have a crush on John Bon Jovi back in the day? He took me backstage on the New Jersey tour when I was a music critic. And he gave me a whole backstage tour. We were supposed to play tennis. And he was sick, which is why we didn't play tennis. And I literally saw John Bon Jovi take a B12 vitamin shot in his buttock in the middle of the dressing room underneath the Capitol Center. I had Dr. J be kind to me in the visiting locker room. And I had Wayne Gretzky be kind to me in the visiting locker room. So, like, I was there for, like, stuff. I had Robert Plant greet me at the backstage door and sign 2 of the President's objects from my friend Richard Abrahams. So, you know, and I stood at that backstage door at that ramp when I didn't have a backstage pass and they said there would be one in the cold and the rain. I remember walking backstage at the Iron Maiden show and seeing Eddie, the giant mystical Eddie and the operator operating it from backstage where you could see through the stage and see the red and the blue of the seats. Whew.
You have a lot of memories.
I'm looking for this book, man. You wonder why I'm not going to open this book. What is your connection to Capitol Center other than wanting to document it and being a Laurel kid?
That's all it was. Jerry Sachs was a great supporter of the whole thing, and he opened some doors for us. I ended up interviewing about 3 dozen former employees, everything from Jerry down to the guy that sold the popcorn. So it gave me a real complete view, complete understanding of how the place worked. The Poland family was very supportive. Both Jim and Robert wrote forwards for the book. And, you know,
Abe was always in the press room when I got a press pass beginning in about 85, 86, 87, 88, those era. Jim Lynam, Bob Ferry, just great people. And Abe would sit in the media room every night. He wasn't at every Caps game. He wasn't at hockey. He was a basketball man. Right. But he came to Caps games, and he showed – Abe Poland showed his face. I have nothing negative. I mean, I'm the same for my dad in my household. Right. I don't want to be disrespectful to Abe, but I mean, to be honest, I mean, it was a hard thing for my dad to accept that the Bullets had left. You know, my dad never went to another Bullets game. He went to Caps games with me, went to wrestling matches. I'm trying to think if I ever dragged my dad to a concert. I don't think I ever did. I dragged Jackman down to Neil Diamond, but
you know, the wrestling matches, it turns out, I was told that the wrestling matches, there were more heart attacks in the stands than any other event they ever had. It was all from the wrestling matches.
I need you to tell me some stories like that because I could sit here all night.
Oh, I got tons. And for boxing, they did the absolute worst promotion ever where they had 10-cent beer night for a whole slate of boxing.
Oh, no.
I don't remember.
Well, they had Ali and Jimmy Young. Ali fought at the Cap Center. Sugar Ray?
They certainly didn't do 10-cent beer night that night. But,
God, I can't even, like,
they had a whole slate of matches, and it was 10-cent beer night. And at one point during the fights, the 2 boxers stopped and were watching the fights in the stands. It was that crazy. They never did it again.
How How is that not as famous as Disco Demolition Night? That's what I want to know. So I'm thinking of the weird things I saw there because I know, inaugurations have been crazy stuff. I went to a concert that was a Welcome Home the Vietnam Veterans concert. Leonard, it was spectacular. I met James Brown that night. I met so many incredible celebrities that night. I didn't meet Henry Winkler. He was there, and I really regret that. He is speaking. I have 2 tickets to see Henry Winkler speak down in Montgomery County. He's doing a thing at the library down there in March, and I can't wait. Henry Winkler did my radio station, called in, but I wasn't the host.
Right.
So he's been on my airwaves. So he was there the night. But the people I met, Chris Christopherson, James Ingram, Linda Ronstadt. Linda Ronstadt and James Ingram did Somewhere Out There. John Fogerty talked to me about baseball for 15 minutes that night. I met actor Louis Gossett, that just passed away. It was a Vietnam welcome back thing in 1986 or 87. I was a media member to cover it. And Neil Diamond did America that night. And, it was a star-studded, crazy. James Brown did Living in America. I'm in the pit, and he's doing trying to do the Michael Jackson, I guess, at that point. So that was kind of other than the other Van Halens, and I'm seeing Pat Benatar, Elvis.
Yeah.
Elvis played the Capitol Center in '76 too.
Sure.
Of course he did.
You would be hard pressed to name an act, a singer that didn't play Capitol
I was at
Center.
this Michael Jackson show when Michael Jackson played there.
Go back for a minute to what you were talking about, the shape of the roof.
Yeah.
That had a lot to do with why the building became obsolete. Because
you couldn't hang anything from it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. As the years went by, the gear that the performers kept bringing in got more and more and more, and they had to use these temporary riggings because they couldn't hang it off that roof.
So when the Stones wanted to shoot confetti, they had to hang something to shoot it off, right?
Yes. So that's why.
What else don't I know about? You're giving me I just have memories, and you have these really weird little stories that are going to make this awesome. So I'm going to shut up. You tell me something I don't know.
Well, most people don't realize that the Capitol Center had many innovations at the time that are now standard. People don't even think
the
about
video board. Let's start
exactly
with that.
The telescreen. You know where that came from? The Pentagon. They enlisted help from the Pentagon. They were the only people in the world that had a projection system that large. And at first, they had 4 separate projection systems. They somehow synced them up.
Well, the cameras had to have been $250,000 at the time because they had these giant cameras. If you got
Yeah.
the wrong seat in section 108 or 109, you had the camera guy's ass in your face the whole – because they shot it.
Yeah.
And it's all been I mentioned that AC/DC concert. That really bad Aerosmith concert that I told you, I own that on a DVD, on a ripped DVD. I own that concert, and it's awful. I own the Van Halen show I went to. The diver, it's awful. He couldn't sing. So, the old tapes of it are unforgiving. You know what I mean?
Right.
And there's a Bob Seger show from '78 that is just. The Springsteen stuff that was booted. The Eagles must have bought the tape, right? Because that thing, the way the Eagles video was shot, it looked like you were in the Capitol Center watching it because the production value of what they could do supersede. It makes all the sense in the world that it was state of the art, literally.
Being the first presented some problems at first because none of the acts had ever been videotaped.
So licensing, right?
And there was all licensing, and they were.
Zeppelin said, "You're not putting cameras on."
They had to be convinced that bootlegs weren't going to be going out on it, and they did some. They always do. But
thank God for that.
There's a video of
rules. We broke a few rules.
There's a video of Springsteen on YouTube, his very first appearance at Capitol Center, and he had never experienced that, and he's watching himself up on the screen the whole time. He couldn't believe it.
See, I need these little nuggets so I can go because every one of these ticket stubs, if I could go back and watch the show again right now, I would.
Well,
that's what makes the AC/DC thing really cool, and even the really bad off-key stuff that I found. If you find me the George Michael videotape from '88, we're a winner. That's all I'm asking for.
I got bad news.
One of the greatest shows I've ever seen.
I got bad news for you when it comes to that. I talked to a guy named Ernie Fingers, great guy who was in charge of the
Not his real name, Fingers.
It is his real name. But he was in charge of the whole video system. He had gone over down to MCI Center with a whole bunch of other people when it opened. Nobody alerted him to the implosion. All the videotapes were underneath there when they
All right, that's the end. Go home. No crabs for you.
He couldn't believe it.
It's bad enough that the Orioles can get eliminated this week and that the Ravens could, go down the toilet.
So any video that you do see is either bootleg or, like you said, they probably sold some of it. But all the original tapes were at the bottom of the implosion. Pretty sad.
Sabbath?
Everything. Anyway, you were asking me about. I was telling you about the innovations. So the telescreen was the big one. Sky Suites. They were the first arena to have Sky Suites.
But they were so far away.
Well, it was
they were terrible.
It was
they
an
were
afterthought.
terrible.
It was an afterthought. Houston Astrodome had something similar, but those were sold. They were the first ones to have something like that were actually leased, and they had already started the design when they said, we need to have something like that. So they put it around the top, and they were the worst seats in the house.
Well, the fact that it was built underground, kind of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it was a pit. It was right. I mean, it was well sub land. I mean, you went in and you went down into the bowl.
Yeah.
Just that alone limited what they could do underneath of it, right?
Well,
and above it.
And even to that, it was swampland. When they
so you had water coming up.
They had pumps 24
No wonder the damn thing was so chilly all the time.
24 by 7, they had pumps pumping water out from underneath the Capitol Center. It never turned off.
What else do you – come on, keep going.
All right, the innovation.
Because I'm going to go nuts looking through this. But I'm going to pee. We're going to get some Oysters Rockefeller because I like you. Teresa's here. And I tell you, I'm going to go through a couple of these before I get my hands greasy.
All right, let me finish the list of innovations. All right,
okay.
So you got telescreen, you got Sky Suites. They were the first arena to come up with a quiet room. I don't even know they had this.
Okay, I got a story about that.
Parents could drop their kids off.
I got the byline I wrote from the night they opened it.
Okay, they were the first ones to do that.
And this is a story, dude.
They were the first arena to have in-house computerized ticketing. They had their own ticketing system. That wasn't at first, but
that's why you had to go to the Heck Company. They weren't on Ticketron.
Right.
Correct.
And one of the reasons why they came up with that was because the president of the Heck Company complained because of the lines to the Heck Company to buy tickets at the Capitol Center was getting in the way of people shopping, and he was getting really pissed about the whole thing.
I'm sure he was.
They
all of us kids out in the middle of the parking lot at Golden Ring Mall.
Yeah.
It was an ish show, dude. It was a mess.
Yeah.
I was the mess.
Yeah.
Leonard, you could say I was the noise. Maybe for the Orioles, I could be the noise. I really do want to take a break.
Sure.
And I want to look through some stuff. Teresa, you guys okay on time? You cool? I mean, you were talking about let's get some beers, let's hang out. We're in Dundalk. Maybe I'll buy you crab cake or whatever. All right, chill it. We're going to do some Capitol Center stuff because you have come all the way from Columbia. We ain't got no bridge no more over here.
Right, that's right.
So you got to come through the tunnel. Go old school. We're going to get that bridge back better than ever. And when that happens, Westmore's going to come back and sit right here, just like he did 2 years ago.
Let me end for the break because you mentioned Abe Pollin.
This is never going to end you and me.
And I'm
going to make Teresa come up here and sit through it.
As I said, I interviewed 36 or so people. And, I mean, I've been a journalist for a long time, and I have never interviewed so many people about a person, and no one had anything bad to say about Abe Pollin. And these are people that work for him. They said he was the greatest guy in the world, and he and Wes Unseld. They said,
well, Wes, I knew Wes.
They
so
said
yeah,
the two,
I didn't know Mr. Pollin. I mean,
said,
Mr. Pollin took my dad's basketball team and took him to D.C. for all the reasons you're pointing out. Because he had this building where you could do, and look, if you're in Baltimore, you get in your car, it's 45 minutes, but my dad didn't have a car, right? You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then there was the price and this and that, what all of that went into it. I promise you, if there was a bus from East Point Mall to the Capitol Center that ran every night, there would have been a boatload of people on it. I'm just being honest with you. Whether it was a concert, a ball game, whatever, come to East Point Mall and get on the bus. We'll take you through the tunnel. You don't have no beer, no kids can come, whatever it would be. There would have been in our childhood for concerts when Duran Duran played. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. I should have been an entrepreneur. I should have known the Gunthers then and just said, send the buses over here because people wanted this. They wanted to see the Eagles. They wanted to see hockey. They wanted to be a part of it,
Absolutely.
Elvis, Kiss. I know I wanted to go to see Kiss, and I didn't, and Kevin Eck did. And he's still talking about it.
Yep.
Billy Squire's band Piper opened that show. You wanted the best. You got the best. The hottest band in the world, Kiss. Whew. All right. I'm going to towel off. It's the Oyster Tour. It's Crab Cake Tour. It's all brought to you by friends at the Maryland Lottery. I have Raven scratch-offs. Here, it's like Oprah. One for you. There, I'm going to give them to everybody. Kevin Leonard is here, the Capital Center retrospective. You didn't think you were going to have this much fun today, did you?
Oh, I figured it, yeah.
I better have this much fun because the Orioles are going to – I don't know how much fun it's going to be.
We're just scratching the surface, so.
See, the thing with baseball, even if it's fun, they kill you every night because they'll win one, lose one, win one, then you got game 7. You know, because this is not going to be a slog if they win. Mm-hmm. You an Oriole fan?
I don't want to say. He is.
I almost threw you out of here when you talked about burning the tapes. All right, we'll come back.
Yeah, we'll skip over that.
Our friends at Liberty Pure Solutions make my water clean. They treat well water the way the oysters treat the bay, and making the bay nice and clean so we can have these big fat crabs. It's been really quiet in here during the afternoon. It's kind of gloomy out, whatever. This place will be a madhouse in a little while because crabs are bigger than they've been. Oyster tours in season as well. Our friends at Jiffy Lube, as well as Curio Wellness and Foreign Daughter, putting this out on our 26th anniversary. I have my 25th anniversary cupcake right here on the screen. It's going to be a 26th anniversary crab and oyster motif to celebrate. Today's day 22.
Okay.
22 days in a row I've had oysters, including in the next segment when the oysters Rockefeller. I don't know that I can do it. Do you like oysters Rockefeller, Teresa? Yes? You like oysters? All right, I'm going to save it for her because I'm going to get ticket stubs out.
Yeah.
And I already told Leonard I'd smack him if he touched my Michael Jackson ticket.
Yeah.
So
you don't want to mess up the book either. So, yeah, I hear you.
All right. I have my Blue Oyster Cult belt buckle on. I saw Blue Oyster Cult play back in 81. So it looks like I'm a member of the cult, but that's the Blue Oyster Cult. Man, the Capital Center.
Oh, like I said, we've just scratched the surface here.
Pat Benatar, right? Chrissy Hine and the Pretenders. Police on the Synchronicity Tour. REM opened. David Bowie in the first row after I camped out. Mm-hmm. The Modern Love Tour. I got pictures. I should have brought the pictures. I'll put them up online. Back for more. Kevin's going to be with us. It is the Capital Center book. You can get this book, laurelhistory.com. laurelhistory.com. The Laurel History boys have done this book. I haven't opened it yet.
Nope.
So I'm going to do that in the next. I'm going to get through my ticket stubs.
Okay.
This is my press pass from Dr. J's last game. This is my press pass from the Pat LaFontaine 7-period game. I can't wait to find my Def Leppard ticket from the Pyromania tour. Stay with us. We're at Costas. It's a Crab Cake Tour.